Sherbir, I want to come to you because I think the most dangerous thing the Canadians are doing, and indeed the Americans are also doing, is conflating Sikhs with Khalistani. When you cast Gurpatwant Pannu as a Sikh leader, when you cast Hardeep Singh Nijjar as a Sikh leader, what you're saying to ignorant people who may not know better is that being Sikh and Khalistani is the same thing. Whereas not just do we know that experientially and anecdotally to be false, we have the Pew survey that shows us that 95% of Indian Sikhs were proud to be part of India. And, survey after survey has confirmed this. Sikhs are amongst the most sort of patriotic communities, frontline contributors to the Indian military, and so on. But Pannu, openly talking about balkanizing India, cast as a critic of the Modi government. I mean, is this the Americans being naive? Is this the Americans being insidious? As a Sikh, in particular, not only as a Sikh, as an Indian, as a Sikh, as a lawyer, what do you feel?
Barkha, terrorism knows no religion, knows no national bounds. Terrorism is terrorism. It playing fast and loose with terrorism, playing convenience with terrorism, or playing domestic politics with terrorism. That can be nobody's case. Gurpatwant Singh Pannu's statements squarely fall within the brackets of terrorism. Full stop, full point. There are no ifs and buts. Nothing could make my blood boil more than to hear phraseology in the nature of Sikh leader, Sikh preacher. If Gurpatwant Singh Pannu is a preacher and a Sikh leader, then Osama bin Laden too was a preacher and a family man. I think the ad absurdum that gets made on with respect to terrorist statements is something that we should not accept. That's the first part. Secondly, it cannot be anybody's case that Gurpatwant Singh Pannu speaks for the entire Sikh community. He absolutely does not. I don't think any of us have to wear our patriotism on our sleeve. I don't think any one of us need to give out, need to stand on top of rooftops. But I've said this on multiple occasions that for most people in India, most Sikhs, our identity is Indian, Sikh, and Punjabi. And while Sikh and Punjabi is an interchangeable identity, the Indian part of it is absolutely not. I don't intend to give a impassioned plea of, our patriotism or, how we serve the country. We serve the country like anybody else does, and we participate in our country's affairs like anybody else does, and we do so with pride. But to hyphenate every Sikh with these bunch of lunatics and charlatans who sort of try and claim, or terrorists for that matter, is something that is not just being far from the truth, would be a conservative way of describing the situation. Again, repeatedly, and I've said this on this show, and we've been covering this now, Barkha, for I think 3 or 4 years, and your show has sort of taken the entire development of some of these issues right from the time of the farmers' protest. There is no plea for Khalistan in India. None of us have asked for it. None of us want it. There is absolutely no resonance for it. A stray poster, a keychain here or there, none of that contributes towards a demand for Khalistan. And I've repeatedly said that if Prime Minister Trudeau and the others are so keen to sort of push Khalistan, then they should create one in their own backyard, and not use it as a symbol of state polity and as a cowardly mechanism of domestic politics. Because the challenge with domestic politics, or any justification for a short-term promotion of terrorism, is where it has dangerous consequences for multiple communities and multiple countries. I think Canada saw that firsthand with the Kanishka bombing. Their own track record of looking and prosecuting the Kanishka case is shameful folklore. I wouldn't even try and say that it deserves condemnation. It deserves way worse than condemnation. As in, what self-respecting sovereign nation would be okay supporting a terrorist act and thereafter finding creative mechanisms out of it. Are there broader problems in Punjab? Yes, there are. Are there broader problems in terms of our domestic politics that may have the coupling of which and the conversations of which may have contributed to some of these problems? Absolutely. I think that's a separate conversation. We can come back to that later. But to summarize, I will just leave it at the following. Pannu and his ilk do not speak for Sikhs. Pannu and his ilk are terrorists. There is no freedom of speech when it comes to threats to blow up an airliner, threats to ask people not to travel by a particular airline, or to suggest you use shameful language in the nature of a World Terror Cup and other things to that effect. Should sovereign nations get behind together collectively on terrorism? Absolutely, they should.